Hello, and welcome to the very first recording of the Happy Manual podcast, brought to you by TSW Training and presented by Alice Morgan and me, Amanda Bathory Griffiths. The Happy Manual is a career fulfillment and happiness at work show, so if you're looking for a little joy in your working day, you've definitely come to the right place. In today's show, we're walking for Wellbeing by the sea and inland around South Wales. Let's get our boots on and start walking. Just set that going, and then I'll get my other questions out on this phone. I'm stood at the edge of Forest Vower with Emma Jones. She's our health and social care training advisor, and her stepdaughter Charlotte. They've taken on a challenge to walk 100 miles for Mind, and they're about to tell me all about it, as well as why it's so important to them.
I think for us, throughout lockdown, we had some challenges of our own, and I think we saw the challenge online, and we just thought that it was a charity that we'd like to support, and we just decided we enjoy walking anyway, especially me. Charlotte normally comes with me. I've done a couple of walks for different charities over the years, but never for this charity. So it was mainly lockdown and everybody's mental well-being, which I think everybody has suffered over the past 2 years. We just felt it was a good charity to support at this time.
Wonderful. So what mile is this? What mile are we up to now?
We're currently on mile 70, so whatever we do today now will be into the 70s.
That's impressive, isn't it? Because it's only the 19th of March too?
Yeah.
That's really good going.
We've not managed to do all the miles together.
Okay.
With Charlotte's down at her mum's, she'll do some walking down there, and Charlotte goes to spin classes as well. So we've been adding those on, and I've been walking on my lunch breaks and after work. But I'm a bit of a fine weather walker, so if it's raining, I won't go out.
Does the rain make you slower, possibly?
Well, we went the other week, didn't we? And we were quite quick because we were soaking wet and we were freezing cold and we just wanted to get home.
It's an effective motivation tool, isn't it? Like, it's a bit chilly out there.
Yeah.
Awesome. And today we're at Forest Vower.
We are, yes.
And do you come here regularly to
No,
walk?
this is new. We've never been here before.
Okay.
We've done the Taff Trail before now, from Caerphilly to Castell Coch and back. But this is a new walk for us. We've not done this before. So we were just looking at the board and the different walks. So we've decided we're going to come back and do the others.
Fabulous. Oh, fabulous. Are there different difficulties of walk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are we doing today?
Perhaps we could just do the easy.
Easy.
Because we're going to be talking.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Otherwise it'll be just me panting, like, can't catch my breath, can't keep up with them. Okay, so how does getting exercise help your mental health?
For me, I find when I'm out, I'm more relaxed. My brain switches off. So if I'm stressed about anything, I'm currently doing a university degree as well as working full time. I'm planning a wedding. So I'm quite stressed at the minute. So when I'm out, I kind of switch off and I'm more aware of what's around me. So I've always got my camera. I'm always taking photos. We always take selfies. Don't we? When we're out, yeah. And I just find it just gives me that time just to refocus before going back home and starting all over again.
That was something I wanted to ask you both, actually. What do you think about when you're walking?
Not too much, actually. It depends where we are, but I try to just concentrate on and focus on where I am. I like being down by the sea on the coast. I love walking on the coast. So I'm always looking for photos to take, and then I find then that I'm so distracted with my blinking camera and trying to find all the different lenses and whatever that I'm really not concentrating on anything else. At the minute, I am wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. I'm thinking of my wedding, because we're getting married in November, so I'm just planning that. So that is constantly in my mind at the moment. And I've got a university assignment due in next weekend, and that's also in my mind at the moment.
Oh my goodness. Are you sort of doing the essays in your mind?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I want to get home and I want to write down what I've thought
quickly before I forget it. Memo to self.
So, but when life isn't so busy, I do just try to refocus and just concentrate on what's around me.
It's interesting that you say that you prefer walking by the coast, because we went for a walk with Jessica Webb earlier this week with her doggies. And she said that she much prefers walking in woodland.
Yeah, I've walked with Jess through woodland, but I don't know, is I really enjoy walking along the coast, which is strange because I'm quite nervous of water, so I don't like being in water. I don't like being on boats, but I find, and I can tell when I need to be by the sea, because I'll say we need to go to the beach, and it just calms me. The sea just calms me. So I like coastal walks. I've done quite a few on the Welsh coastal path. Yeah, I don't know why. I enjoy being by the sea.
It's soothing, isn't it? The sound of the waves, even on a stormy day.
Yes, yeah, and that's when you get the best pictures.
Oh, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, just the texture of the clouds and the colours in the sky and reflection on the sea. It's just incredible, isn't it? And no day is the same.
No, it was fab.
Would you say that walking has helped you with work? For example, are you more productive after a walk, or you're able to concentrate a bit better?
When I can, I take my lunch break and I go out for a walk. And then when I come back in the afternoon, I do actually work. It's just getting away from that laptop and just getting away from, I'm not office based as much now as I was before lockdown, but yeah, it's just getting away from the computer and closing the computer down, just leaving the emails behind, and just at the minute I just tend to walk around the streets because there's nowhere else to walk within the time scale really, but still it's better. It does make me refocus for the afternoon then.
That's nice.
And when I can, I try to get out after work as well then. We do a few evening walks, don't we?
Yeah.
Not so much in the winter because we don't like walking in the dark so much, but now the nights are pulling out, and we've not long moved up to where we are now, and we've got lovely cycle paths.
Oh, where are you now?
We're up in Bargoed now.
Oh, okay, lovely.
Yeah, so we've got the cycle paths up there, and we can come down and park from our house. So yeah, it's now the nights are pulling out, we'll be doing a lot more.
So how will you feel when you've done 100 miles for Mind? Because it's a huge achievement.
Yeah, I think we'd be quite proud of ourselves, won't we? Because it is a lot to do within the month with everything else as well, and because Charlotte's over her mum's half of the week. For us to try to get time together to walk the same miles together, we'd be chuffed to beans, won't we, when we finish this?
Do you think you'll want to carry on and take on another challenge?
I would. I enjoy doing charity walks. I've done quite a few over the years. So yeah, if we find, because we were looking for one to do in the night, I've done one before for what did I do it for? Marie Curie, I think, and it started at 10 o'clock at night, and we walked down Cardiff.
Is that the moonlit walk?
Yes, cancer research do one as well. So we might try one of those next time. It's one in October, so we may.
Oh, that would be really cool, and it's spooky time of year as well.
Yeah, so we might sign up for that.
That's so nice. Is it do you meet a lot of people out walking, as in, and shared interests and things?
Yeah. Everybody you meet when you walk in, if they're dog walkers or if they're just like us and just out walking, everybody's so friendly. I think everybody feels the same. It's just getting out, just forgetting everything that goes on at home. And it's just a bit. It is good mental health. It is good mental health.
And how can people sponsor you?
It's through Facebook. We've so far raised £150. Which we're really pleased with because our target was 100.
Amazing.
So yeah, we're really pleased with that.
Okay. It can be hard to know where to start when it comes to walking. What would you suggest to people who want to get started?
Just get out there and start walking. I started initially, there was a local walking group in my area, so I joined them. I mean, the ladies were a lot older than me, but it was still nice. And we used to go every weekend, all different places, and then we'd meet up once a month as well. We'd go out for a meal of a Saturday evening, so that was nice. But yeah, you only need a pair of trainers or a pair of walking boots. Decide where you want to walk and off to go. You don't have to do miles and miles. Porthcawl to Rest Bay is a nice walk. It's a couple of miles. Just get out there and start walking.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you. Life in the Leaders Lane. Stuart Macaulay-Lane is an ILM apprentice and financial consultant at Legal & General in Cardiff. I chatted to him about finding his feet and happiness in a brand new role.
So my name is Stuart Macaulay-Lane. So I'm actually now a financial advisor at Legal & General. Previously, when I started my qualification, was a lead handler. So working in the same departments, but I've taken a sort of step up, doing a slightly different job. As a lead handler, effectively, we deal with incoming calls and things like that from customers, and then arrange appointments for the advisors to call them back and speak to them. Primarily, it's customers who want financial advice about insurance products like life insurance or income protection, critical illness, that sort of thing. And that's what I do now on a day-to-day basis. So obviously, I'm now speaking to customers and going through their personal circumstances with them and then providing with advice about the right sort of products to meet their needs. So it was the ILM management qualification level 3. So I've
Okay.
actually finished the qualification now. So it's now been completed. But yes, I was doing that with Susan Hampson. Yeah, so she was always available. So if I had any issues, I'd always say to her, "Can we have an extra meeting?" She booked me in. It was obviously because of COVID times. Pretty much everything was by Teams. So I met Sue actually a couple of times towards the end, where we
Mhm.
had like intensive days where I'd come into TSW and she'd give me support one to one that way to get sort of over the finish line, which was great.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was always emails, conversations, backwards and forwards if I had any questions or queries. There was obviously a few interactive sessions as well that I attended, which were great. So with work and trying to find a balance, sometimes I couldn't. There was only sort of 2 other learners on my course, so it was quite more one to one than anything else. But sometimes I joined with other groups that she was doing was outside of LNG, and that
Mhm.
was great as well. It was really enjoyable, and obviously looking into how different people work and how it affected their business as well. So that was a real eye opener as well. I think what Sue's really good at, she brings things down to sort of bite-sized pieces. So in times where I was really struggling with sort of sections, she'd really break it down for me, and make me just find a way of making me understand. So she tailored her approach to me, which was great. One of the things you learn in the course is no set way of obviously getting people to do learning things. So
Mhm.
obviously for management qualification, you've got a team of 5 people, they're all going to respond different ways. So she was really good at finding the way that worked best for me and obviously help me to achieve the end goal, obviously of qualifying. She helped me learn sort of skills in regards to sort of time management and things like that, and preparation skills, which is obviously I'm now using with my new role. So there's definitely things that I've learned from doing the ILM as opposed to just going straight into this job and not having that previous experience. You realize you can do obviously more than one thing at the same time, because I've always sort of limited myself previously. So I think the fact that I took on 2 of these big things at once and obviously come through it, the other side is definitely a confidence booster. There were days when there's a struggle, but obviously you just got to keep sort of muddling through it. And Susan was really good, so she's always there on hand for any help that I needed. So that was great. I'd wanted to sort of move up from my role, and the advisors' roles in our department are very sort of, they never normally came up. So the main reason I moved to this department was to try and get one, but I was there for sort of 2 or 3 years and nothing had happened. So I spoke to my manager and said, obviously, I want to do something different. So he made me a team leader in the team handlers team, and I wanted to sort of move into the management side of things. And that's when this came up, and he suggested obviously I look into it. So Steve Wright was my manager. He's actually just retired just before I finished, unfortunately, so he didn't actually see the whole thing through. But the manager took over, Richard, as well. He's been brilliant as well, so he's been really supportive. And the department as a whole has been great. So even the boss above that was really sort of encouraging to go for this sort of qualification role. He thought it would be a good idea for me, so that was great. Taking a second out just to sort of find myself again, think what I'm going to do next. I think I will eventually come back and do some additional learning, because I say I'm still quite new in this new job as well. So it's been obviously a year of intense learning for this job. I need to sort of try and find my feet in this first, and then to see where that takes me. I think it's a lot of obviously it's tiring work in regards mentally, because obviously you're trying to sort of juggle your home life and in your work life, and obviously do this qualification as well. So
Mhm.
it's just trying to find the right balance more than anything else. So it's always good to test yourself, isn't it? And to see what you can achieve. I
Mhm.
think it's easy. It's always easier to do nothing, isn't it? Let's be honest. So pushing yourself, it's harder to get it going. But once you do, you get that momentum with you, and then it's definitely worth doing. Definitely changed my outlook in regards to the fact that I obviously said at the beginning, it gives me a lot more confidence in obviously what I can achieve as a person, and obviously my limitations are maybe a lot further than I thought they were. So that's definitely made a big difference to me. So yeah, the confidence gained from doing this and obviously achieving something is the best thing that's happened out of it. So it's yeah, I'd recommend it to everybody.
Mother, Holly! You just need the added incentive to get outside. Our essential skills tutor Jess Webb has been borrowing her way to Wellbeing for the last few years. We caught up with her to learn all about how she's using Borrow My Doggy and intuitive movement to improve her well-being.
We used to do a lot of walking when I was a kid, a lot of days out, because it's a free day out with the kids, isn't it? So me and my mum and my sister and my brother used to go walking a lot, so it's definitely something I've always enjoyed. Yeah.
Because you mentioned you grew up near London, didn't you? So you liked finding the quieter...
Yeah, so I grew up near London, and then when my parents got divorced I moved to Somerset. We did a lot of walking on Exmoor and Dartmoor, and did a lot of geocaching walks, because they're a bit more interesting than just walking, because we've never had a dog, so it was just us. So that was good, that was nice. Definitely that's where it started, I think.
And do you think walking helped your well-being?
Yes, definitely, as well during lockdown. I used Borrow My Dog basically because I was having a hard time with my mental health. I'd moved back home with my mum, and I'd lost my job, and I was working a job that I didn't really like, so I was like, I need to get out and do something. and that's when I met Harley. And we used to go to Margam Park for like the day on Saturday. I used to take a flask of tea and a little sandwich for Harley and me, and we used to walk like 13 miles around it, stop for a little picnic under a tree, and it was nice. And it was so nice because I didn't know anyone down here, but it was just me and Harley, and it was wonderful, and it made me feel so much better.
That sounds so cozy.
Yeah, it was really cute because he'd just be like, here we go. And he's just like, wherever he went, I just followed him, and then we'd sit down and he'd have a sandwich, and everyone would be like, that's so nice. But it was nice. It was cute.
That's lovely. And when do you tend to go walking now? Do you tend to go before work or after work? Or...
I do both. Like, Wilbur needs a walk in the morning, so my partner goes to work at 6, so I go up and out sort of 6:30 till 7:30, and then we go at the end of the day, maybe like 5. Just then he has dinner and then he goes to sleep. So I try and get one in at lunchtime as well, just to kind of split up the day, because otherwise you're just in the house and you're just at the computer, so that's difficult.
Do you find it makes a difference when you go walking in the morning to your working
massively.
day?
Not just my working day, but to my energy levels. I found the other week I wasn't very well, and I didn't go out in the morning, and I just felt so tired. But like sometimes I don't want to do it, but once I'm on the walk, I'm like, yep, I'm on it, and then I think, I'll just walk a little bit further. And then I walk back, and then I feel great. I'm sort of ready to start the day, so it's really good.
I found that yesterday actually, because I've been walking before work all this week, and then this morning, and then I didn't this morning, and I was like,
I know, it really makes a difference. Like when we've got the kids, I have to take them to school, and I'm like, I need 3 cups of tea instead of 1 walk. So,
yeah.
And I like it. Like I go out at 5:30, and the sun's just coming up, and there's nobody else around. It's like my time for me. And then when you go out in the evening, like it's dusk, and it's like, my Instagram, like it's like this. You can hear all the birds, you can hear Wilbur's feet, and it's just like, oh, this is nice.
That's lovely. Where is some of your favourite spots to go walking?
Here, Bringarrow Country Park. I love Margam Park. I like to go walking I prefer woodland to seaside. I don't know why. I just think like the woods has got a lot more sounds, like sensory to offer. I like anywhere that's got kind of water and rivers. So yeah, here, Margam Park. I also really like Cosmoston Lakes. Where else have I been? Barry Sidings. Anywhere that's like a country park, really. That's the one for me.
Gorgeous. And I know you already touched on this, but what made you start using Borrow My Doggy, and would you recommend it to other people?
Yeah, my mum's next door neighbour was a mental health nurse, and she'd heard about it for her patients, and she said, well, why don't you go on it? So I went on it and I had a look, and I was like, I'm going to try this out. So you pay $12.99 for the year, and then you can message as many people as you want. So as a borrower, you kind of put your availability, and then you search for dogs with matching availability. So as a dog owner, I could put Wilbur on there and say, I just need to look after him when I go on holiday. It might be a home from home stay or something like that. I messaged a couple, and I met a couple before I met Harley, but they were kind of like, I don't know, when I met Harley, it was like our first walk was like, we'd known each other forever. Like I didn't have him on a lead. That was it. We went for a walk, and from then on, it was like we were best buds. And then he started staying overnight, and then he started staying a couple of days over the weekend, and over lockdown we had him from like March to July, so it was like our household dog, and that was really the decision. When he went home, it was like, and that was the decision to get Wilbur. So we saved up and we bought him at Christmas. After Christmas, we didn't buy him for Christmas, he's been with us since December, and he's just changed everything. He's so cute, and he's so good.
He's adorable.
He is super
They're
cute.
both so sweet.
He is super cute. Yeah, Harley is like that dog that he is my dog. Even though he's our family dog that we borrow, he is my dog. And Dave and Zoe they're so flexible about me borrowing. Like they've got a little girl who misses him like crazy, but they never say no. And I think that's really nice. So I tried to kind of cut down the amount of time I borrow him, because she was really upset yesterday. But I was like, he's going to be famous. There you go.
He is. And would you recommend walking to others for their well-being?
Definitely, 100%. I think it's really good to just, not only for your fitness, but your overall health, and just going somewhere that you enjoy. Like I've been a big kind of fan of intuitive movement recently, and just moving your body in a way that is enjoyable to you rather than kind of having to slog it out for exercise. Especially even without a dog, it's nice to go somewhere and just be in nature, because especially when you're working from home, you just spend so much time at a computer or in the house, and it's just nice to go out and be somewhere different.
Absolutely. That's interesting. Intuitive movement. Is that like intuitive eating, where you just...
Yeah, the same thing. So you just move when you feel like moving. You know, you don't force yourself to a gym class. You just think, actually, I enjoy this gym class, so I'm going to go to it. Or my form of exercise is I like walking or I like cycling. So instead of being like, I have to work out 5 days a week, you just, when your body wants to move, your body wants to move. And some days you might walk miles and miles, and some days you might walk 10 minutes. But
that's a really good way of looking at things, because I think, especially like personally for me, I'll like punish myself in a way instead of just enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's really
I definitely used to be like
interesting.
that. I used to be like in the gym 5 days a week, and then when life gets stressful, it'd be like you need to go to the gym, and if sometimes you can't fit it in, you can't fit it in. But you know, with walking, it's like you only need to go outside for 10 minutes, and then you're like, oh, I'll stay out for another 10 minutes, and then it's great. It's good.
Now let's meet intrepid adventurer and apprenticeship administrator Sam Jennings. He's walked all the mountains in the UK, but now he plans to hike further afield, setting his sights on Mount Maglik in the Dinaric Alps of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
During COVID, my karate class was closed, and so was my football club. So I was looking for other avenues to keep in fit. I started going on some long haul walks, which eventually turned into some national mountains. They included Penavant, Snowdon, Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike. That was kind of the reason behind it, but it's turned into quite a bit of a hobby now.
Nice. And what was it like climbing those mountains?
It's quite intense. Yeah. We did Snowdon in May, and it was pretty like blisterous conditions. So I think it was kind of a real test of that, because it wasn't just a mountain, it was the conditions as well. But you know, it's been fun. It's a challenge. It's kind of stimulating. So
amazing. What's your favourite one that you've climbed so far, would you say?
Ben Nevis, because it's the highest in the UK. And it was also like, you kind of, I guess you're better your comfort up there as well. You don't know your surroundings. And it was also I think it was October, so the weather was quite harsh as well. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, pretty grim, but no, we got it done. And it's, nice to go out in the town as well after. It's kind of like a celebratory drink, like, so it was good.
Lovely. Who do you go with?
Some of my mates, so they're into it. Yeah, about 4 of us.
No, that's lovely.
So we have the same group every time.
Oh, okay, cool.
We kind of, one of them is he's kind of new to it. One of them's a bit more experienced, so he kind of guides us a bit. Like, I think he's used to doing some European ones and things like that. So
amazing. And have you noticed that does it help your well-being physically or mentally when you're kind of taking on these challenges?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think during COVID I was, in a bit of a head rut and kind of I wouldn't say isolating myself, but was kind of trying to stay motivated was tough. So being able to do that just give you a new sense of purpose, and it was just it's just progressed from there then, and it keeps you fit and mentally sound as well. So.
And are there any particular spots that you like locally that you like to walk in, or?
Brecken's always good, yeah. But I like walking like local villages as well, just kind of trails and all sorts. Yeah. So I'm from the Regenda area, so there's a lot of nice spots around here. The Llinby Valley is nice. But yeah, any sort of walking and kind of running or anything is kind of send it my way, and I'll give it a go.
Fab. And what are you looking to do next in terms of mountain climbing? Where are you looking to go?
Mount Maglik is on the radar, so that's in Bosnia.
Oh wow.
You can book like it's like a package, so it's kind of, I think it's over like a kind of week. So you go within like an actual team. Then it's like an organised event with guided tours and stuff. But yeah, that looks like it could be next. Hopefully, with a bit of training.
Beside the sea, 5 accessible trails to help you wind down. Getting outside can be such a boost for your mental well-being, giving you time away from work and learning to really wind down after a busy week. But a visit to the coast is a real treat like no other. Breathing in that fresh sea air and gazing at the beautiful sights around you, there's something so relaxing about being by the water.
The Wales Coast Path is the perfect place to switch off from the daily grind and watch coastal life go by,
says Eve Nicholson, Wales Coast Path Marketing Officer.
It's not all high clifftop views and winding steps. There are places on the path that are accessible by wheelchair or for people with mobility issues.
If a visit to the seaside is in your sights, try one of these accessible spots along the South Wales coast.
Number 1. Views from the Cardiff Bay Barrage. Connecting Cardiff and Penarth, the barrage offers a unique path along the sea. Travel towards Cardiff Bay to see the Norwegian church where Roald Dahl was christened, or head in the other direction to experience the delights of Penarth. Along the way there are play areas for the little ones and free exhibitions to browse. Who will spot the enormous crocodile first?
Number 2. Delicious treats at Penarth Pier. A mile away from the barrage, Penarth Pier proudly sits above the sea. Park up nearby and take in the Victorian Promenade, which offers gorgeous views of the Severn Estuary, including the islands of Flatholme and Steepholme. You can't leave this place without an ice cream or a hot chocolate from the many cafes dotted around. Go on, tuck in.
Number 3. Sandy Saunters on Whitmore Bay. Further down the coast, the iconic Barry Island awaits. Whitmore Bay, with its colourful beach huts, expanses of sand and intriguing rock pools, offers a refuge for anyone seeking the soothing sounds of the sea. All-terrain beach wheelchairs are available from the Changing Places facility behind Marco's Cafe, so you can get closer to the tide's edge. They're completely free. All you need is to bring along a form of photo ID, passport or a driving licence to loan one.
Number 4. Surfer spotting at Aberafon. Down in East Port Talbot, you'll find a 3-mile-long beach by the name of Aberafon. One of Wales's longest beaches, you could spend an afternoon in the area, observing the skills of the surfers who visit all year round, before making your way to the Aqua Splash playground for the kids to enjoy. Why not tuck into a scrumptious fish and chips at one of the many restaurants in the area to round off a perfect day?
Number 5. Spot the landmarks at Swansea Bay. The Swansea Promenade can't be beaten for iconic landmarks along the way. Admire the stunning Art Deco architecture of Guildhall before exploring the famous Singleton Park or Klein Gardens, 2 of Swansea's most gorgeous parks. We'd recommend stopping to smell the roses and herbs at the beautiful Botanical Gardens in Singleton. You'll enjoy views across the bay to Mumble's Head when you get back on the promenade, rounding off a lovely day by the seaside. A beach for everyone. We spoke to Nia Hollins from the Vale Council about the beach wheelchairs at Barry Island. She said,
They are used by locals and visitors alike to help everyone make the most of their visits to the beach. Specially designed to be used on the sand, and even for paddling in the sea, people love to make use of them. One of the most heartwarming parts of our job is that most users have a story. Sometimes it's the first time that a family has been able to allow a child with additional needs to enjoy the sand and dip their toes in the sea, as their usual wheelchairs won't let them do this. Or grandparents and great-grandparents actually get to join in the fun with their grandchildren as they struggle to reach the sand due to mobility issues. We have families and small groups using them, but we also have regular requests from care homes that want to bring their residents down for a day on the beach. They say the impact is literally like a breath of fresh air to their residents.
Hi everyone, I'm Kirsty. I'm a Blackpool raised girl but now living in the lovely bright lights of Bristol. And I've recently got into what I think is just an incredible world of kind of outdoor green space, well-being based kind of talking therapies, really. And it might sound a bit fluffy, it might sound a bit odd, but it's actually one of the greatest ways to really get your body moving, promote really positive mental health, and get outside talking with people. So I kind of fell into it, I think, because it's something that kind of brings together everything I'm interested in, really. I love getting outdoors. Once you've experienced by the sea, you never want to be away from it, really. And I really enjoy the kind of the language aspects of how powerful kind of talking can be. And so it kind of grew, I suppose, out of a collision of many things, really, like most of the best things do. I've spent 12 years in communication, so I know how valuable that talking, especially when you've got an empathetic listener, is, and it's really one of life's best medicines, as many people say. So, then the work that I've been doing in this communications role for the past 5 years has really started to be centered around how green space and what we call biophilic design, which basically means bringing the natural world into our human created spaces, how those two things together actively make us healthier, and that means both our brains and our bodies. And then at the same time, like everyone in lockdown, I really saw that kind of need for green spaces became vital, and that also there's a real gap for kind of people who, perhaps don't feel that they need formal counselling, but just really feel like they could benefit from non-judgmental sessions where you can just share what's in their heads and perhaps dig a little deeper if they wish. So all that kind of came together, and knowing all of that evidence around mental well-being and health, as well as just my own experiences of how a good walk can help everything feel a bit clearer and more manageable, I thought this have to make this a reality, really. So alongside my job, I completed a certificate in counselling, and then I enrolled on a part-time master's in psychology at Cardiff University, so I can empathise with anyone who's going through the kind of juggle of job and learning, really. But I just haven't looked back. So I've now kind of done some trial runs, and I've got a wide range of clients, some of whom, much to my joy, bring their dogs along to the sessions, and we meet in outdoor parks across Bristol, usually for an hour or so, and we set off on a stroll. And there's some certain techniques that I bring in from my certificate in counselling, but otherwise the rest is up to them, really. It's a really about person-centred talking sessions. So, and the benefits are, you just wouldn't believe, they're just so far-reaching. And there's the kind of basic ones that we've already kind of touched on here, but what I've seen is just the difference in dynamic that comes from walking side by side with someone. I think it really speaks to the idea of meeting as equals, moves away from that more traditional approach of sitting in a room for talking therapies. It's less intense. It works really well for people who maybe have some diversity of brain diversity, and so perhaps struggle with eye contact or the pressure to talk continually. But really excitingly for me, as someone who's kind of been in the creative writing world in the past, the idea of the metaphors and the analogies that green space offers to talking therapies is just fantastic. There's, the idea of walking new paths in our brains, or the transience of the seasons that you can reflect in our life stages, or even how we feel at different days of the week, all the way through to considering what grounds us and what nurtures us and how we blossom. So it's definitely erring on kind of I would say a merging of some science, but also some lovely kind of ways of telling stories about ourselves and understanding ourselves a bit better through words and kind of metaphor, really. And leading these sessions has really become, I would say, like a restorative experience for me. One of the key points that's made across psychological research is the importance of practitioners who deliver talking therapies to also maintain their own mental health, and this certainly offers that. So I hope that the kind of more qualified counsellors who are working with people with perhaps much more complex issues than I do start to consider it more. And one of the ways that that might happen is the research that I'm involved in at Cardiff University is looking into how actually the proximity of people to public space and their community during the pandemic might have actually predicted how positive their well-being was, and then in addition to that, actually their health behaviours that they adopted, so whether that's exercising more or smoking or drinking less. And that's an incredibly interesting and kind of complex relationship that's going on that might influence how we approach community design or health provision in the country, really. So it's very exciting, but for now I'm looking to the summer because I'll be finishing up that research and able to begin my plans for extending Walk and Talk from Bristol into lovely Wales. And I'm just so excited because I think the Welsh landscape just offers some of the most stunning scenery around the world, really, and I'm so eager to explore where we can start walking there, and the idea of perhaps, because it's so expansive, the space to holding full days or half day sessions with clients, because it just feels like a fantastic opportunity for people to really dedicate a great amount of time to talk about their mental health and get their bodies moving outdoors, all in the wonderful countryside you have here in Wales. So it's very exciting, and it's just been a really positive experience to feel a business kind of grow from the genesis of kind of a few ideas and the way they all collided at this juncture, really.
Next up, we speak to TSW Learner of the Month winner and Information Advice and Guidance Apprentice, Emily Casey. A community employment mentor for Community for Work Plus at Rhondda Cynon Taf, she supports all residents who want to get into employment, training or volunteering, sprucing up CVs and helping them with interview prep. Here's what she had to say.
I'm a community employment mentor for Communities for Work Plus. So I give people one-to-one support to help them go into employment or education or training. I've been doing that for about 14 months now, so still quite relatively new. I have a caseload of clients. They're coming in all the time, so we have new clients all the time. Some of them might be looking for specifically mentoring support. So they might not have been in work for a while. They need some advice on how to apply for roles or how to get back into education. So we give them that advice and we support them at the same time. So I might sit with them and help them apply for a role or help them do their CV. It is rewarding. I worked as a triage before this role in the same project, but it was more the admin side of it. So it's just given. It is more rewarding, really, because I'm helping them now. And a couple of us started the job at the same time, so I think there's 3 or 4 of us that are doing the qualification now. Our role as a employment mentor is giving people advice and guidance. So because I was new to the role, I think it really helped doing that alongside it, because it helped me learn things along the way. It's nice to have that as well, because we can go to each other for advice. So I think we're probably all doing like the same units at the same time, the same pace. So yeah, it's just going back and forth really, and asking for advice from them as well. I am enjoying it, yeah. Jane's amazing, really. Like, she knows I've got a busy caseload, and she knows I've got things at home. So I've got a little boy, so anything I needed, really. Like if I needed to reschedule an appointment because I hadn't got the work done in time, or if I needed a last minute appointment for some advice on some work, then she was always there, like end of the phone call, or I could schedule a Teams meeting. Yeah. Like I said, really, just developing yourself and challenging yourself. Like I done uni. I think I finished when I was 2016, so I haven't actually done any qualification since then. So it's just getting my brain working again, really. And it was going to be worse than it actually was. It was a bit of a shock to the system to begin with, because I was like, oh no, like I was always last minute with uni, but I was always like, oh, I got work to be in now. So yeah, it's just a shock to the system doing work again. I like to develop within my role. I'd like to progress, and it's having that qualification behind me, I suppose. It does improve my confidence, because I was new in the role. It's improved my confidence along the way, because I was learning new things as well that I needed to know. It's given me more confidence to it with my writing, and yeah, just help supporting clients, really, and providing that advice. It's definitely worth it. It might be a bit overwhelming to begin with, but I think you get yourself used to it, don't you? It's just making that first step. But yeah, I would definitely advise people to develop themselves and take an apprenticeship.
How can you make well-being a priority, especially when you're working, learning, and short on time? A problem shared is a problem solved in the Happy Manual's new regular column, The Calm Club.
Today, we're joined by our training advisor, Sue Hampson, who also happens to be our wellbeing champion. And today, she's going to help us organise our time so that every working day has a rest break built into it. Over to you, Sue.
So one of the methods that I came across and started using was something called Eisenhower's matrix, and it was completed by President Dwight Eisenhower. And what he looks at is dividing your daily tasks into 4 grids and titling them Do It, Schedule It, Delegate It, and Delete It. And it does take a lot of practice before it becomes second nature to you. But it's the list writers. So what do you need to do in that hour, that day, that week, and prioritizing it? So what's urgent? What has to be completed? What's got a clear deadline? And then looking at things that maybe you could schedule it for later on in the week, things like professional development or networking, for example. As training advisors, we might have a little bit more difficulty in delegating things because we're not managers, we don't have a team of individuals to delegate to. But quite often it could just be a simple case of saying, right, well, I have got a busy schedule, I have got all of this to do, and having that confidence to maybe push back and say, yeah, I'll do this, or I'll do it by this date, or I really can't take this one on, I need some help. And don't be embarrassed to put your hand up and say, I've got so much work on at the moment. Is there somebody else within the team that can help out and just let me get this task done while they take that task over? But I think the most important thing is what I refer to as the time stealers. It's tasks that you could delete. It's the distractions that end up making you feel worse afterwards, such as social media, or my favourite one, emails or DMs on Teams. And we're all famous for using the DMs. So what I tend to do is if I've got quite an important deadline or a task to complete that I don't want outside distractions disturbing me, I'll put myself on Do Not Disturb on Teams and I'll actually turn my Outlook off. With the caveat, you check your calendar before you turn your Outlook off, just in case you have got learner meetings that you don't want to miss. But in that way, it stops people or outside influences distracting you, because there's nothing worse than working on a task, seeing an email pop in, wondering what it is that Fred sent you to do now, responding to Fred's email, coming back to the task you were working on, then you've got another couple of minutes thinking, where was I, what am I doing, and having to pick it up. So it's just little tactics of making sure that you're controlling the tasks that you've got to do in the day. And we were talking previously about the fact that within my calendar, I also schedule out time, lunchtime, to step away, to walk away, go and have my lunch, go for a walk with the dog, just breathe, but be away from the laptop and regroup my mind, refocus.
So do you think it's solely the responsibility of the person to schedule in their wellbeing breaks and to take their wellbeing into consideration, or is it also the duty of their manager and their superiors?
Well, absolutely. I mean, as I've said, I think it's important that the individual is disciplined enough to make sure that they're allowing time for their own well-being and maybe a lunch break or even a 10-minute break away mid-morning. But equally, I think it's very much the responsibility of all managers as well, as a duty of care more than anything, to ensure that their team are looking after themselves, are making sure that they're taking breaks away from the screen, and even just pushing back on some of the workload if they need to. It is up to the managers as well as the individuals to look after themselves.
Do you think there's something that you need to have a lot of self-awareness to understand what stresses you out before you can understand how to manage that stress?
Yeah, I do. And I some time ago completed a questionnaire that was on stress. And what it does, it looks at what your triggers are for stress and how you are as a person and how you work. And what it came back with was the two drivers for me. One is I have to be perfect, and the other is that I have to please people. Now, they kind of contradict each other, because with the please people, I don't want to say no to people. If somebody asks me a favour, can I ask you a question? Can you complete this? I want to say yes. But because I'm a be perfect, I'm actually quite a slow worker. I like to be quite diligent on what I'm doing. So I have to understand, well, if I say yes to this, how's that going to impact on the work that I'm doing today? And quite often it's another time stealer, because if I do say yes to something and it needs to be done immediately, I'll rush it. And when I rush things, I get stressed. And when I get stressed, I make mistakes, and then I have to do it all over again. It would have just been more simple to go, yes, absolutely, I'll do it. I just need to finish what I'm working on now. Then I'll do it later today, tomorrow, whenever, so that you've got the time to sit down and do it right. And you're not having to do it 2 or 3 times, because nothing stresses me out more than somebody jumping in and asking, can you do this now? Can you do this now? Can you do this now? And I'm thinking, I've got 101 other things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to please you by saying yes and getting it done, but actually that's not my priority for the day. This is.
It's quite an emotional thing, isn't it, when you feel overwhelmed, especially if all the work, the time stealing tasks are coming from your manager. It can be quite an overwhelming feeling, because you feel like you can't push back. So it's kind of learning how to have those conversations in a calm way and getting your point across, isn't it, without sounding flustered, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know if it's my children call me stubborn. I would say I'm determined rather than stubborn. But life has taught me that there are priorities, and sometimes those priorities, for example, teaching leadership and management, my priority of my learners is that they do their work by the date set. It takes a lot to understand that they've got other priorities, they've got other commitments, and being able to manage their commitments and timescales with what I want them to achieve. And I want them to achieve their qualification on time, but there are things that get in the way. But it's having that confidence and that ability to say, hang on a minute, this isn't working, this isn't my priority for the day. I need to push back on you.
And communication is a big part of that, isn't it? And
huge. But again, is that coming back to an age thing, where I possibly am more confident to turn around and say to people, I can't take that on board today. I don't know. It could be the salesperson in me, but communication is key about everything in life. If you don't talk to people, how are they going to know that you're struggling with workload? And one of the things that I say to learners and to colleagues as well is that if you are working evenings and weekends, have you actually told anybody that you're having to work evenings and weekends? Because the more that you're doing in what they think is your normal working hours, the more they'll give you to do. If you push back and say, hang on a minute, I'm working till 11 o'clock every night and I'm having to work Saturday and Sunday, your managers will probably be mortified that you're having to do that and say, well, why didn't you tell me? So communication is key with everybody and everything in life.
It's like the perception of that conversation, that one difficult conversation. If you can manage that conversation, it will do wonders for your well-being in the long term, won't it? It's like just kind of have to weather it, and it will get better if you do it.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's useful use of your time as well. And as we were talking earlier, I used to be the type of person that would get up at 7:30, have a quick shower, grab something to eat, be straight at the laptop. Now I actually get up no later than 6 o'clock. I set my alarm clock at 6 o'clock so that before I even start the day, before I start the stresses of the working day, I've been able to take the dog for a walk, to embrace nature, to look at what's going on around me, to hear the birds sing, to just appreciate what I've got and what the world is offering me before I then sit down and the day starts again. And that's why I think it's important as well to make sure that you've got that time, whether it's half an hour, quarter of an hour, but you walk away from the laptop at lunchtime as well, or regular short breaks throughout the day. You need that breathing space.
Thank you so much, Sue. Join us again next time for the Calm Club.
Did you know there are wonders underfoot in the Vale of Glamorgan? There are legends and myths for almost every walk that you can think of, all told in the Vale Tales app. Reporting now is Alice Morgan, with tourism expert and storyteller extraordinaire Nia Hollins.
The beauty of South Wales is right on our doorstep at the TSW Training headquarters in Bridgend. From the sweeping cliffs of Southern Down to the Victorian promenade at Penarth, the Vale of Glamorgan offers plenty of opportunities to stroll along some gorgeous routes. Walking in the footsteps of plenty before you, you might be wondering what stories the land around you has to tell. Who wandered these parts hundreds of years ago? Being a bit of a local history geek, I certainly have. I downloaded the Vale Tales app a few years ago to discover what stories lurked around every corner of the Vale. Whether you're taking a saunter around Ogmore, visiting beautiful Ueni, or heading from St Athan to Barry, you can listen into stories of infamous pirates, fortune-telling caves, knights of King Arthur, and more.
The Vale Tales are based on 10 trails that were developed in the Vale of Glamorgan. You may have heard of them. So they're numbered 1 to 10. There's 5 coastal, there's 5 inland. So it's a digital app that's GPS triggered. So the idea behind it is you download the app to your phone, and then as you walk any one of the 10 trails, as you pass a GPS trigger point, ping will come up on your phone and it will open up the story within the app and you can find out about it. So there's all different kinds of stories, from piracy to ghost stories to myths and legends to all different kinds of things. I think there's about 4 or 5 stories per trail, and then eventually then you have a full library of about 30 odd stories throughout the whole of the Vale. The idea behind it for us is we want to encourage people out to walking our trails. We also want them to encourage them to make it a bit more interesting, so find out about history and that. But also, because there's 10 and there's only so much walking you can do in one day, that will encourage you to keep coming back again and again. All the walks themselves are actually featured on our Visit the Vale website, so you can go in and download the maps as well as pick up or order even hard copy maps yourself. So you can order the full set and we'll send it out to you. But where there's some of the walks can be sort of 8 or so miles long, on the physical trails themselves, on the maps themselves, we do offer some smaller loops for those that might not want to do the whole 4 or 5 hours walking. So hopefully it's a bit of an option for people that might not want the full walk. Iolo Morgannwg was such a character for the Vale, and I mean Bro Morgannwg itself is, you know, there was links there with a character. He was quite a character in himself, and I won't sit here and pretend to know I know the full history of it, but I know that he was quite a character, a little bit high on life, should we say, if that's the right way to say it. But he was very much involved in the culture and the history of Wales, and was integral to so much part of history of development in Wales. So we just thought if we based it on a character, it would just bring it to life a little bit more. And one of the stories in particular, which is Vale Trail number 9, I believe it is based in Cowbridge, and it really brings to life the Iolo Morgannwg story, because an awful lot of Iolo Morgannwg's history was based around Cowbridge. So that trail in particular is all about Iolo Morgannwg's story. So it's one to kind of, if somebody was particularly interested in Iolo Morgannwg himself, that's the trail to look out for. So I love the ones about the ghosts, and I love the ones about the piracy, and I do regale them all the time to anyone that will listen. So so I thought, well, if I enjoy them, I hope other people will as well. I would also say good boots. Make sure you pack a nice packed lunch, because we've got some amazing places to stop and have a fantastic picnic, and I like to eat my way through a walk. I would always say, absolutely, by all means download the app and get walking, but we are more than happy to send out a full set of the trails. So before setting out, there's a booking form on our website that you can just click a button and we'll send you a full set. It's just really for your peace of mind, really, to make sure that you've always got that navigational tool, but it also gives you a lot more story as well as the tales. So it tells you about the places that you're looking at, tells you about the places to visit, where you could park, start and finish stop. So it's a good resource to have on you. And then when you're I would also say download the app from your house before you go, because it can take quite a lot of juice from your phone, and you don't want to get somewhere, download it and find you've only got half a battery left after you've gone. So I would also always suggest just download it, use your own home Wi-Fi before heading out. There's loads of walks. I mean, there's Vale Ramblers do a lot of walks. Valeways as well are a charity group. They do an awful lot of walks, and they've got some really popular ones. And they're aimed at so many different types of people. So you've got some walks that are aimed at maybe single people that might need a bit of companionship. I know that they've got a walk aimed at Welsh learners, for instance, so people can go for Welsh learners. They've got a walk, Valeways have a walk, I believe, aimed specifically at people that have survived cancer. So that is a bit of a, you know, a good way to just walk and talk about how you're feeling. So some really, really nice walks out there. And like I said, they're all linked to everything from Visit the Vale. So Valeways links out as well and things. But I was also going to mention we're in the process of working through a really lovely project at the moment. It's going to be called 10 Days in May, and we're showcasing all 10 of our Vale trails through a series of walks, guided walks. It's the Welsh weatherman called Chris Jones, and he's going to be taking people along these walks. And along them, there's going to be characters, there's going to be choirs, there's going to be fitness sessions, there's going to be all these things popping up all over the place. But also excitingly, he's creating a video per walk. So every single walk is going to have, and some of the ones he's created so far, they're just so beautiful. And they're being created to give people a snapshot of what they can find on the walk. So it's not a turn left here, turn right there. It's a snapshot, an overview, and some lovely drone footage of some of the walks, so that people have a flavour of what they're going to expect before they go. More of a taster to encourage them to come out and do it for themselves. If I had to choose a favourite spot, I love Southern Down. I'm not so much a beach person. I love views, I love walks from the cliff tops, but the beaches down there are absolutely beautiful. There's nothing that I like more than going with my family and having a picnic on the coastline, whether it be Nash Point, Southern Down, Ogmore. But Barry Island has got a very big place in my heart. My kids used it as their playground growing up. It's why we moved here, so I can't say that Barry Island doesn't feature highly on my places to go and visit as well.
Where are you most at peace and happy? Let's follow the sun and join Sue Hampson in the picturesque fishing village of Mousehole in Cornwall for our final feature, My Happy Place.
Well, he told us to say to you 20 sausage rolls and that you'd know what it meant. What's that?
So there's a place in Mousehole, a Whole Foods deli called Whole Food, right on the harbour. And we went down, September last year, I think it was. My dad was originally from the area, so we went down with friends and I was taking them all around the tourist places. We kind of got to Mousehole and we hadn't eaten, and everybody was like, oh, right, I'm getting hungry now, we need some food. So we walked into this Whole Foods deli. So we all grabbed something and decided we'll sit on the harbour wall, just eat the food, and then we'll go off to the next location. And my husband, we all bought pasties. You're in Cornwall, you have to have a pasty. My husband bought a sausage roll. And he sat on the harbour and he went, oh my God, this is the nicest sausage roll I've ever had. And they had apricots in it. And it was like, he said, it's like Christmas in a sausage roll. So by the time we all had a bite to check it, he went, oh, I'm going back and I'm going to get another one. So he went back and he bought every sausage roll they had left. So I was in work a couple of weeks ago and I was talking to Matthew in the kitchen and I said, oh, what are you doing opening up? It's normally Stu that opens up. And he said, oh, he's down in Cornwall. And I went, what part? And he said, he's down St Ives Way. straight on the phone. If you happen to go to Mousel, could you please do your favourite employee a favour? Go to Whole Foods Deli on the harbour and buy all the sausage rolls that they've got. So on the Friday, I get a picture of his hand outside the Whole Foods shop holding a bag of sausage rolls, and he brought 6 sausage rolls home for us. And he said by the time he got home, with the smell of all of these sausage rolls in the car, he said he was ready to eat a scabby horse.
Oh.
So, yeah, Whole Foods Deli in Mousel if you're ever down there.
Thank you for listening to the Wellbeing issue of the Happy Manual. For more learning for wellbeing, please follow us on Instagram using @TSW Apprenticeships. This has been a TSW Training production, and you listened to Amanda Bathory-Griffiths and Alice Morgan, plus all the fantastic Happy Manual contributors: Emma Jones and Charlotte, Jessica Webb, Harley and Wilbur, Sue Hampson, Sam Jennings, Nia Collins, Kirsty Kelly, Stuart Macaulay-Lane and Emily Casey. We'll chat to you again in the summer for the next edition of the Happy Manual. Hwyl fawr, and so long for now. Hello, and welcome to the very first recording of the Happy Manual podcast, brought to you by TSW Training and